cold mornings like this, the body feels slow, heavy, a little stuck. And then there are plants that behave like a spark. Plants that know how to wake the system up from the inside out. Ginger is one of those plants. It's not just spicy, it's directional, it's warming, it's a mover. And today I want to show you exactly how it behaves. Not just in theory, but inside the living map of the Ultimate Herbal Database, where you can see its connections unfold. Let's step inside the database so you can see ginger's fire the way I see it. One of the first things you'll see on the right at the top are the tags associated with ginger. In India, ginger is known as the universal remedy. So there are a lot of tags. And if you want to know what they mean, just click on them and they'll open up. For example, warming, which we covered in a previous video, explains what this means. And there are different types of warming. Ginger isn't just warming, it's also dispersing. And that's what gives it the quality of being a spark. Now we see it also strengthens the tissues of heart, activates the immune system, prevents blood platelet aggregation, and leukotriene formation. If you don't know what leukotrienes are, that's underlined. If you click on it, you'll see here where you can pull up leukotrienes and learn what they are. It inhibits prostaglandin production, reducing inflammation and pain. It's used in the treatment of anxiety, depression, fatigue, headache, hypertension, hypothyroidism, indigestion, obesity, and pain, for starters. Here's the table of contents. There are some videos for you to watch. If we click here, we can find out more about the constituents. But for now, look over on the left-hand side of the screen. You see these purple-colored labels. Those are important constituents in ginger. Clicking on them will pull them up, and you can learn what they do. If we go to uses, which we'll do right now, you'll see some examples of how the database pulls together Eastern and Western herbalism, as well as today's conventional medicine. So first of all, it promotes sweating, dispels wind, cold, relieves pain, stimulates the circulation, and of course that's part of how it sparks and creates warmth. And it promotes expectoration, great for cold and flu onset, bronchitis, and peripheral circulatory deficiency, fibromyalgia, chilblains. It has good anti-inflammatory activity. We see here that oral administration of the powdered form to patients with rheumatism and musculoskeletal disorders has been reported to provide varying degrees of relief from pain and swelling. For its diaphoretic and expectorant effects, it's best used in the fresh form. It stimulates digestion, warms the middle, settles the stomach, relieves gas, and stops vomiting. Its antiemetic activity does not involve the central nervous system. It promotes menstruation, clears cold, stops spasms, reduces infection, stimulates immunity, antidotes poison. More on its anti-inflammatory activity. Here you can learn about its cardiovascular activity, antiplatelet. Surprisingly, it's effective in cancer. This section discusses its role in treating colon cancer. Here we learn about its effect on the gut immune axis. It supports gut health by stimulating digestive enzymes and promoting gut motility, indirectly boosting immune function. It contains potent antioxidants. It can modulate the composition of the gut microbiota, potentially affecting obesity, insulin resistance, and liver health. Some of its compounds can attenuate the functionality of immune cells like macrophages, neutrophils, dendritic cells by suppressing various signaling pathways. Ginger supplementation has been shown to increase the species number of our intestinal flora and decrease the relative abundance of pro-inflammatory bacteria while increasing anti-inflammatory bacteria. And here we learn about how it regulates dendritic cells. Again, if you don't know what those are, this is a link. Click on it. It interacts with our adaptive immune system. This clinical summary comes from Sloan Kettering. Let's go back to the left-hand side of the screen and take a look at some of the other connections. At the top of the screen are various conditions that ginger can be used for. Since there's a scroll bar at the top, that tells us that there is more on the screen, and we can pull it. Health conditions. It can be used to help with mercury poisoning. It can be useful when there's excitotoxicity, chronic inflammation, deep vein thrombosis. And if we look down below ginger, we're going to see how it affects our hormones. What about ginger essential oil? Instructions on growing ginger. And here is a Chinese medicine approach for treating swelling. There's also black ginger. And in case you're wondering if there's any evidence for ginger being effective in so many areas, I always go through the literature to pull up research to verify. Here we see how it's used for arthritis, how it helps with aflatoxin. Here's more on its role in cancer, its cardiovascular effects, cartilage preservation. Okay, now then, another area that's important to look at would be cautions. As wonderful as ginger sounds, there are cautions. It can slow blood clotting, increase bleeding risk when taken with anticoagulants, even aspirin. It can interact with blood pressure lowering medications, diabetes drugs, or pain relievers like ibuprofen, potentially amplifying their effects. It could affect stomach acid levels, interfering with antacids, proton pump inhibitors. And here are more cautions to be aware of. Now then, how do we use it? Go to Preparations and Dose. At the top is a product you can get from Ginger People, an organic ginger juice. Click this link to find out about the quickest way to peel it. Some videos. This one I really like, the homemade ginger garlic paste. It lasts for 6 months in the refrigerator. And other preparations, fresh or dried ginger in decoctions or tincture or taken in essential oil form. Think of the decoction and tincture for respiratory, digestive, and menstrual conditions. In exterior respiratory conditions, the short decoction of fresh root, decocted with the lid on, has the best diaphoretic effect. Be sure you store your powdered ginger in a well-closed container that's not plastic to prevent moisture from forming in it. Here's how to make the fresh juice, instructions for tinctures, glycerites, capsules, poultices. In a previous video, I spoke about the materia medica from the eclectics and physiomedical doctors of the 19th century. This is one of the books that came out, and here are details from that book on how they prepared ginger for medicinal use. Looking back on the left-hand side of the screen, this color is for medicinal preparations. There's ginger green tea poultice instructions for pain, how to make a ginger compress, a cough syrup, a ginger detox bath, a ginger magic formula, ginger pastilles, and then we have ginger recipes. Let's click on that. One of the great things about ginger is that we can use it in our food. This is such a good example of food as medicine. So here are some recipes for things like ginger beer, sticky ginger sesame tofu, turnip and ginger muffins. Here's a very simple recipe for ginger and red onion. It helps keep blood pressure normal, supports clear vision and sharp mind, strengthens immunity, aids digestion, and overall vitality. All you do is blend fresh ginger and red onions, boil briefly, and drink warm daily for lasting health benefits. Of course, you want to use in moderation, and remember those cautions that we brought up. I use a lot of ginger, especially in the winter. In the Ozarks, when winter dampness settles into the body, ginger acts as a counter pattern, warming, drying, and moving. And that is why it's one of the first herbs I reach for when the season turns inward. Before you use ginger, feel it. Hold a slice and smell it. Notice how the heat rises even before you taste it. That's the energetic signature that you saw mapped in the database. Warming, dispersing, awakening. If you want to explore ginger the way I do, through patterns, connections, and living maps, you can access the full Ultimate Herbal Database. Every herb in this series of videos links to this visual system, so you can follow the threads and see how everything connects. You'll find the link in the description box if you want to explore deeper. Our next herb is going to be turmeric, the slow golden unwinder.